Okay, I'm going to be talking about a topic about the rules of conduct or code of conduct on Delta Force 2 co-op. I know that the rules of conduct in the death match and the public death match or team death match might be different than the co-op rules. I don't know, but I know that on the co-op it's a whole different story. Everybody works together as a team when you're playing on Delta Force 2 games. The one thing that I don't like, do not like seeing on the Delta Force 2 co-ops is if players are picking on other players, if they're trying to bully other players, anything that's outside of the rules. You're only supposed to work together as a team to accomplish the goal, and no sexual harassment should ever be tolerated on the game itself. I've seen or heard of people actually doing that on the co-ops. I've heard about things like that, which should not be taking place on it. Also, there have been reports of players who are anal, that are anal when it comes to critiquing players, and that's something that needs to stop. I've seen this. I've got a number of complaints that people have complained to me about, and they said, well, they say they don't like seeing it. You know, people being critiqued. I mean, we all get killed in the games when we play Delta Force 2 co-op, and you got to remember that when you're playing on the co-op, we're fighting against artificial intelligence. The bad guys are AI, basically, and there's some scenarios where you're going to get killed. And sometimes you can hear the bad guys, sometimes you can't, and you can't tell where the bad guys are at. And you know, and then you have a player in there that gets agitated or aggravated because they can't hear the bad guy, and they get ticked off about it or pissed off about it, and they keep saying, hey, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. Look, players don't need to hear this crap when you're playing on the co-op, okay? They don't need to hear this crap, okay? So any players that does that needs to knock that crap off, okay? No one's perfect. We all get on there, and we all get along. I get on the games, and I greet all the players, and I'm friends with everybody that I chat with on Delta Force 2. No matter what server it may be, it don't matter what server it is. And you know, there's some maps that are longer maps, and if you get, like, if some players, like, they'll get killed in the game, and then they have to walk all the way from the EP, and then some of them, they may get frustrated and they leave. Well, that's their prerogative. That's their prerogative to leave. They may have things they have to do. They got to go pay the bills. They got to go get something to eat or pick up the kids or whatever it may be, you know. And even if they get frustrated and they leave and they have to start, and so what? Don't make a big deal out of it. You know, don't make a big deal out of that. And there's players that are agitated because someone leaves. You know, after they get killed, they leave. Well, that's their problem. They have a right to leave if they want to. You know, you can't tell people what to do when it comes to that, when they got things to do. Like I've had to leave the games myself several times for several reasons, legitimate reasons. You know, I might get killed, and if I leave, if I'm ticked off, and the bad guy kills me, and I don't want to have to waste all the time going back, and I need to take a breather, I need to lay down and rest. I can't play on the games all the time. I don't play on Delta Force 2 co-op all the time, 24/7. There's other things I work on. Okay, this is just a hobby of mine. That's all it is. It's just a video game, and people just get wrapped up in it, get really serious about it. That's fine. If they want to get wrapped up and serious, that's fine. But when it comes to critiquing other players and they're super anal about it, you need to knock it off. You need to knock that crap off. I've also mentioned to other players, and I've done everything I can to help out Jason when it comes to Delta Force 2 Companion, and there have been players who didn't like it. They tried to put it down, and I said, hey man, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a good app, you know. And I mention it and to players, and it's just a one-time deal. I'll talk about it, and then I don't ram it down their throat. And then when I just mention it one time, they try to put it down, and I don't like it when they do that, when they put it down. And you know, and that's just the same people that will critique you when you're playing on the video game. Look, I've played the game since 2004. Sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes I may suck at the game. Sometimes I'm good. Sometimes I'm bad. It depends upon the circumstance. It depends upon my mood. It depends upon if I'm sick, if I've got other things on my plate. And a lot of players make a big deal out of it, you know, and they're trying to look into something they don't know. This is, like I said, this is a video game, okay? And whether a person gets frustrated with it or not, that's their prerogative. They have the right to get off the game when they want to. Sometimes they want to take a break, you know. And those people that are ticked off or agitated or what, you need to let it go. You need to let it go, okay? You really do. And I've seen this, and I'm not going to mention what servers there are. It's happened about every server there is. And you know, the players that are doing this need to knock it off, you know, because I'm not there to or anybody else is not there to please somebody, and they say, well, I'm just trying to help you get better and blah blah blah. Now look, I don't want it. That's appreciated, but I don't want to hear it. I don't want it drilled down my throat. I'm getting that already in my life, in my regular life as it is, you know. I'm dealing with a lot of personal crap, you know, in the real world, okay? And when I get on Delta Force 2, I'd get there to relax, to get my mind off the crazy crap that's going on in this world, okay? And to let people understand why I play Delta Force 2, tell you a backstory. When I was diagnosed with cancer in 2003, and of course right now I'm in remission, I'm doing great. I played on Delta Force 2, and it got me through depression. It got me through a lot of stuff. I had to get my mind off the cancer, and playing the game was the only way I could do it. And a lot of people have different reasons why they play. And for me, it's like an escape, you know. It gets my mind occupied on something else. But it's just one part of my life. You know, I've got other things. I listen to music and everything else that goes on, and you know, and it, like I said, it's just one. It's just like 1% of my life playing on Delta Force 2. Okay. And when I get really bored, I don't want to listen to music, I just want to play on the game, kill some bad guys on the game, then I play on the game. I might be on there for 10-15 minutes, or I might be on there for 5 minutes in a successful mission, and I decide I want to leave. Or if I get killed in the middle of the mission and then I decide to leave for whatever reason it may be, I have a right to leave. And that's for me or anybody else has a right to leave, you know, and they don't want to have to walk or run that long distance. They have a right to do that, and a lot of the players get mad because they leave. Hey, that's their prerogative. You don't know their personal situation, and people need to just, hey, you need to. These players that are super anal need to lighten up and knock it down a notch. Okay, like I said, I've been getting a lot of complaints from a lot of players about. I'm not saying who the players are, but I'm just saying I'm friends with every player on the game, on the co-op games. I don't really play on the team deathmatch games at all, but I'm just saying on the co-op games, there's players that are super anal, and that, which I've said, I'm not going to name names, and it may not apply to certain people. It may not apply, you know, but with those who it does, you need to knock it off. You know, you need to knock it off. And the ones that I'm sending this message to, I'm friends with them, okay? And it's just that they need to back off and keep their critique to themselves, basically, on behalf of me and all the other players. And those other players that don't have the courage to speak out, I'm speaking for their on their behalf, because I've been talking and chatting with some of the players on the game itself. I'm not going to mention what their names are, and they've talked to me about it, and I've seen it for myself. And you know, and a lot of times, I'll give you an example. There's some missions where you got a bunch of these buildings, and they've got these trucks. They're usually blue pickup trucks. I've never seen anything other than blue, as far as I know. I think blue pickup trucks are the standard pickup trucks on Delta Force 2 co-op, and of course they got the big trucks, the green transport trucks. But as far as the regular pickup trucks on the game itself, it's usually blue. And a lot of times the players will get on it for transportation, and then I can understand you blowing up a truck, and it you know, if you want to do that. But if a player is on the chat thing on there, and they say, please do not blow up the blue pickup trucks, because I'm going to use it for transportation so that I don't have to run all this distance, then don't do it. Just don't blow up the pickup truck. Just simple etiquette, you know, for the other players. But yet the players will blow them up anyway, and I don't say anything to anybody about it. You know, usually I don't say anything. I mean, it kind of aggravates me they do it, but I live with it. Sometimes I live with it. But if I put an announcement on there and say, hey, don't do it because I'm going to use it, and after the mission is over with, yeah, you could blow them up after it's over with, but in the meantime, let me use the pickup truck, you know. And it's not that I'm critiquing them. I want to be able to use that at my disposal, or some other players might be able to use it at their disposal. And you know, and also, you know, in the missions they'll say something like, if you blow up the plane, it will end the mission, and that's the only way to stop it. And if the mission is so messed up that there's no way that you can win it, or you can't find all the bad guys, you can't accomplish the goals, and the only way to stop the mission, and if you're not a remote host, if you're not the host of the game, or there's no way to stop it and you can't get a hold of the host, the only option you have is the fail option, is either blow up the plane or blow up the Black Widow, or if it says if you blow up the comm center it'll be mission failure, then you have to do that. You know, in those type of situations, and unless they know, unless they've been there playing on that mission, they wouldn't know what's going on. And people are super critical, you know. I remember years ago when Wolfpack was hosting on the MSW servers. If anybody, and I mean anybody, blew up Black Widow, and I don't care what reason it was, even if it was legitimate, he would ban players. And I think he was a little too anal when it comes to that. There's some situations where you have to blow up Black Widow. In certain situations, there's legitimate reasons to have a mission failure. I've had to do it times myself, and you know, you actually have to be on that mission and know what's going on. Sometimes you kill off all the bad guys and you accomplish all the goals, and but still it won't end, and the only option you have is to blow up Black Widow, or they'll say, well, you can't take out the plane or it'll be mission failure. Well, that's the only option you have. So that's, you know, that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, and like I said, these are issues that I've never discussed on video. I mean, I've chatted with players in private about these issues, and like I said, sexual harassment of any kind will not be tolerated on the games at all, period. And or cheating, you know, I didn't talk about cheating, but you know, cheating and everything else, you know, but you know, people need, the players need to lighten up on the other players. Stop critiquing them too much. You know, there's some players that have a nasty habit of doing it too bad. I mean, really hard, and they can't stop doing it. I don't know if they're a perfectionist. I don't know what it is. And I'll tell you something else. Years ago, and I'll stop the video, when Murder She Wrote servers, when Wolfpack, he started a stats board, and well, it's a good thing he took it down, because when he had the stats, everybody started to not be friends with each other anymore, because all they cared about was everybody that wanted to be the top dog, and you know, and everybody was trying to outdo each other, you know, and they went to the stat website, and it showed who was the top scorer, you know, in the game, the one that had the top kills. And there was a player that was just, it was just ridiculous how many, I forgot who it was. It was somebody out on Oregon or California, and Dragon told me about it. It was funny as heck. He was, I forgot what the name of the player was, but anytime anybody got close to this person's kill, he would spend all day and night to get his kill limit way beyond, to the point where there's no way in the world that you'll be able to catch up with him. And like, if you were like, let's say 500 points, 500 kills above him, he would go ballistic, and he he would spend all day and night. Next thing you know, he was like 5,000 kills above you the next night. So he was always paying attention to the kill count on the stats. And you know, thank God they don't have that anymore. But it really showed the ugliness of how players can be. It brought out the ugliness in some of these players. I don't know if that's why Wolfpack was trying to achieve, to see how ugly players can be or how vicious they can be or whatever, but a lot of the players become selfless, in my opinion, and it was like all about me. It was me and not about working with the other teammates. And you know, everybody trying to take shortcuts so they could get the top kill count. You know, everybody wanted to be the top dog, you know. And it even had a little thing where you would get these little thing where you get these little ribbons and stuff, and even had that put in the thing. And I thought it was a big mistake. I mean, it's fine to have that in the team deathmatch, you know, because that follows into that type of thing. But when it comes to the co-op, no one wants to see that crap, you know. And I told some of the other players, I said, no one wants to see it, you know. No one wants to see the ego. And at the time, and I told the other players, I said, look, I'm just as good as any of these players. You know, I played as long as they have, and my kill count is as high or higher than any of them, you know. And I don't throw in people's faces. And there's a lot of good players on the game. I'm just as good as any player on the game, and they're just as good as me. And but when you're when you're playing on the co-op, you have to work together as a team to accomplish the mission. And you know, and the last thing you need is for someone to constantly critique you when you're playing on Delta 4. I mean, it's fine. I'll teach someone how to play the game. If someone wants to know how to play the game and all that, you know, I'll do that. But I'm not going to critique someone or constantly critique someone. I'll say, well, you know, do it this way and make it easier. And this is the buttons, and I've done that in the videos. But I'm not going to put someone down or critique them and say, well, I want to make you a better player. That takes time. And although I play the game and all that, sometimes when I play on the game, sometimes I'm half tired, you know, and I just do it. I get up, I'm bored, I play on there for 5-7 minutes, and I may not be the best, you know, at that particular time, but so what? That's on me. I don't want to hear someone say, well, you should have done this. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You know, I get on there, I might be on there just say hello, see who's on there. I may just want to pop in there and say hello and not be like, there have been times I've played on the games where I didn't go in there to play the game. I didn't go in there to kill the bad guys. I just wanted to talk, to actually talk to the players. And that's your prerogative. You have a right to do that. So people, a lot of the players need to get off their high horse when it comes to that. There's all kinds of legitimate reasons to play on the game. Sometimes, like I said, you might want to chat with the players because you're bored as hell. You might get off there, but you know, you don't want to have to walk or run all that distance. That's on them. You know, don't get pissed off at somebody because they get off the game. Big deal. You know, get over it. You know, it's just, like I said, it's just one part of life. Video games is just one part of life. It doesn't rule my life. It doesn't rule other people's lives. I mean, it used to. Some players, they play on video games 24/7, and they don't have a life. I have a life. But when a player plays on a video game, and this is for any video game, people need to stop critiquing the players constantly, you know, and get anal about it. People don't want to hear that crap.